Content of this lecture are selection criteria for the chain drive, numerical on selection on chain drive, modes of failure of chain and lubrication of chains. Now let us say selection of roller chains from manufacturer's catalog. Now the required information for the drive selection is first the power to be transmitted, second the input and output speeds in RPM, and third center distance between the shafts. So the design procedure is as follows. First step is determine the velocity ratio of the chain drive. Second, select the minimum number of teeth on the smallest sprocket or pinion from the table 1. So this table shows the type of chain and number of teeth at different velocity ratio. So using this table, you have to select minimum number of teeth on the smallest sprocket. Third step is find the number of teeth on the largest sprocket. Fourth, determine the design power by using the service factor such that the design power is equal to rated power multiplied by service factor Ks. Now the service factor Ks can be selected using following table. So this table shows type of driven load and type of input power, and from this table you can select the service factor Ks. Fifth step is select the multiple strand factor K1. So based on number of strands, the value of multiple strand factor is selected using following table. So here in this table, number of strands against the multiple strand factor is given. So using this table, we can select factor K1. The sixth step is find the tooth correction factor K2. Now knowing the number of teeth on the driving sprocket or pinion, select the tooth correction factor from the table. So this table lists the number of teeth on the driving sprocket against the tooth correction factor. So using this table you can select K2. Now seventh step, calculate the required power rating of the chain. So power rating of the chain in kilowatt is calculated as equal to design power divided by K1 into K2. So if we substitute the value of PD, then we get rated power multiplied by service factor upon K1 into K2. Now 8th step, select a chain from the manufacturer's catalog having the required power rating using the table. So from this table we can select the speed of sprocket or pinion which will be knowing, and from this after calculation of rated power we can select the appropriate chain. Now next step, note down the parameters of the chain such as pitch, roller diameter, minimum width of roller, etc. from table number 6. So from this table, once we select the chain, then corresponding parameters we can note down. Now 10th step is find pitch circle diameters and pitch line velocity of smallest sprocket. 11th step is determine the load W on the chain by using the following relation, that is W equal to rated power upon pitch line velocity. Next, calculate the factor of safety by dividing the braking load WB to the load on the chain W, which we have calculated in step 11. So this value of factor of safety should be greater than the value given in the table 7. So this table 7 lists the various factor of safety values for type of chain and pitch of chain with speed of the sprocket pinion. So using this table we have to first find out the minimum factor of safety required, and then after that we have to check whether whatever factor of safety we have got is greater than this value. Now next step, fix the center distance between the sprockets. Now the minimum center distance between the smaller and larger sprocket should be 30 to 50 times the pitch of the chain. And finally, determine the length of the chain. Now let us see one numerical on the selection of chain. So let us consider this example. Design a chain drive which is used to actuate a compressor from 15 kilowatt electric motor running at 1000 rpm, the compressor speed being 350 rpm. The minimum center distance is 500 mm. The compressor operates 16 hours per day. The chain tension may be adjusted by shifting the motor on the slides. So let us write the given data for this problem. So rated power is given as 15 kilowatt. Speed of the driving sprocket N1 equal to 1000 rpm and speed of the driven sprocket is 350 rpm. So first step, velocity ratio, so which is the ratio of the speed of the driving pulley upon speed of the driven pulley. So substituting value, we get velocity ratio equal to 2.86. So let us approximate this equal to 3. Second step, number of teeth on the smaller sprocket. So for the roller chain, the number of teeth on the smaller sprocket Z1 are 25. So as we have in this case velocity ratio 3 and we are using roller chain, the corresponding number of teeth on the smaller sprocket are 25. So therefore Z1 equal to 25. Therefore number of teeth on the larger sprocket Z2 equal to the velocity ratio multiplied by number of teeth on the pinion. So that gives us the value equal to 1.5. Approximating it to the nearest whole number, we get number of teeth on the larger sprocket equal to 72. Now next, design power. So design power is the product of rated power into service factor Ks. Now here Ks, the service factor equal to 1.4 for heavy shock and electric motor output. So therefore design power PD equal to P into Ks. So 15 is rated power multiplied by service factor 1.4, that gives us design power equal to 21 kilowatt. Now next step, select the multiple strand factor K1. Now considering the duplex chain, the multiple strand factor from this table corresponding to number of strands 2 equal to 1.7. So therefore K1 is 1.7 in this case. Find the tooth correction factor K2. So for pinion teeth Z1 equal to 25, the tooth correction factor is 1.46. So therefore K2 is equal to 1.46. Next step, calculate the required power rating of the chain. So power rating of the chain in kilowatt is calculated as design power divided by K1 into K2. So substituting the values, we get power rating of the chain is equal to 8.4609 kilowatt. So selection of the chain. So using this table, we have the speed of the smaller sprocket equal to 1000 rpm and the rated power rating of the chain is 8.46. So if you look into the table corresponding to speed of the smaller sprocket equal to 1000 rpm, we have the for 10B chain the power transmission is 8.97 kilowatt. So therefore in this case we will be selecting the 10B chain for our application. Chain parameters. So using this table, as we have selected the chain number 10B, so corresponding parameters we can note down like pitch, roller diameter, width and braking load as pitch is equal to P is equal to 15.875 mm, roller diameter D1 equal to 10.16 mm, minimum width of the roller is equal to 9.65 mm and braking load WB is equal to 44.5 kilonewtons. Now next, pitch circle diameter and pitch line velocity of the smallest sprocket. So pitch circle diameter of the smallest sprocket or pinion is calculated as small d equal to P upon sine of 180 divided by Z1, where Z1 are nothing but the number of teeth on the smallest sprocket or pinion. So substituting the values, we get the pitch circle diameter of the smallest sprocket as 126.66 mm. So let us round it off to the nearest value as 130 mm. And the PCD of the largest sprocket or gear can be calculated as capital D equal to pitch upon sine of 180 by Z2, where Z2 are number of teeth on the larger sprocket. So substituting the values, we get the value of capital D as 363.94 mm. So rounding off to the nearest whole number, we have 365 mm. And therefore the pitch line velocity of the smallest sprocket can be calculated as P is equal to Z1 into P into N1 upon 60 into 1000. So substituting the value of number of teeth on the sprocket, pitch of the chain and speed of the smallest sprocket, we have the pitch line velocity of the smallest sprocket as 6.614 meters per second. Now load on the chain W. So load on the chain is calculated as rated power upon pitch line velocity. So putting the values of rated power 15 kilowatt upon pitch line velocity 6.614, we have W is equal to 2.2679 kilonewton. So let us take it as 2270 newtons. Now factor of safety. So factor of safety is calculated as the braking load WB upon the load on the chain, that is W. So substituting the values, we get factor of safety 19.603. Now this factor of safety should be more than the minimum factor of safety expected for the respective pitch of the chain. So using this table, since our pitch lies or the value of the pitch is 15 point something, so that the minimum value of the factor of safety should be 11, and in our case we have got the factor of safety as 19.603. So therefore whatever design we have done, that is safe. Now center distance, the minimum center distance between the smaller and larger sprocket should be 30 to 50 times the pitch. Now let us take it as 30 times the pitch. So therefore center distance between the sprockets capital C equal to 30 times pitch. So that gives us equal to 477 mm. Now in order to accommodate initial sag in the chain, the value of center distance is reduced by 2 to 5 mm. So therefore corrected center distance CC is equal to 477 minus 4. So that gives us the corrected center distance as 473 mm. Now let us calculate the length of the chain. So to calculate length of the chain, we need to find out number of links first. So this number of links can be calculated as M equal to 2 into CC, that is corrected center distance, upon pitch of the chain small p, plus Z1 plus Z2 by 2 plus Z1 minus Z2 upon 2 pi the whole square multiplied by P upon CC. So substituting the values, we get number of links as 109.967. So rounding it off, we get the number of links equal to 110. So therefore length of the chain L equal to number of links capital M multiplied by pitch of the chain, that is equal to 110 multiplied by 15.875, which is nothing but the pitch of the chain. So that gives us length of the chain equal to 1746.25 mm. So let us consider this as 1750 mm. So therefore length of the chain L equal to 1750 mm or 1.75 meters. Now let us see modes of roller chain failure. Now first is wear failure. This wear failure occurs due to movements of pins in the bushing. These movements results in elongation of the chain due to the increased pitch. This makes the chain fall out on the sprocket teeth, and hence it is very much necessary to replace the chain due to this faulty engagement. This wear can be reduced by maintaining a proper lubrication of the oil at pin and bushing. So this problem generally we observe in case of our bicycle chains. Frequently after some time period we find that the chain is coming out of the sprocket. So this is basically because of the wear failure. The allowable chain elongation is generally up to 2.5%. So this figure shows the wear failure of the chain. We can see the worn pin in this figure clearly shown by red arrow. Second, fatigue failure. Fatigue is nothing but because of the cyclic loading. So due to variable tension at the tight side and the slack side of the chain, it is subjected to cycle of fluctuating stresses during each revolution. The maximum tension at the tight side and minimum tension at the slack side results in fatigue failure of link plate, offside link plate. So to avoid this fatigue failure, the tension stress must be less than that of endurance limit of the material. So this figure 15 shows the fatigue failure of the chain. Next is the impact failure. The engagement of sprocket teeth with chain rollers or bushing results in the impact force. This impact force is reduced by reducing the chain speed and the tension in the chain. Also, increase in number of sprocket teeth helps in reducing impact force and avoid the breakage of rollers or bushings. Now next failure is galling. Galling is the stick slip phenomenon between the pin and bushing in which excessive wear of chain takes place even in the presence of lubricant. Microscopic welds at the contacting surfaces are formed due to the high chain tension. These welds are immediately broken due to relative motion between the pin and bushing. Hence, it results in excessive wear. So this figure shows the galling failure of the chain. Stick and slip phenomenon nothing but while moving the chain over the sprocket, at a movement it appears that it is stuck to the surface of the teeth of the sprocket, and at some point we find that it slips or runs faster than its usual speed at some point. So this continuous sticking up and slipping up is nothing but stick and slip phenomenon between the pin and bushing, which in turn is called as galling. So lubrication of chains. So the friction between the rollers and bushes, the bushes and the pins, as well as between the sprocket teeth and the rollers causes the frictional losses in the chain drive. Hence the chain drive needs to be lubricated regularly and with proper lubricating method. The efficiency of a well lubricated chain drive is from 96% to 98%. The proper lubrication of chain helps in reducing the wear of chain components, protecting the chain against dust, rust and corrosion, carrying away the frictional heat generated due to the friction, preventing seizure of pins and bushes, and cushioning the shock loads and thus protecting the chain. Now depending upon the power rating and velocity of the chain, there are three basic methods recommended by the ANSI standard and the chain manufacturers for the lubrication of the chains. So let us see one by one. So there are designated as type A, type B and type C. So first type A, which is manual or drip lubrication. In manual lubrication, the lubricating oil is applied to the chain links with a brush or an oil can after every 8 hours of operation. So this figure shows the brush lubrication where the lubricant is applied with the help of a arm holding a brush over the surface of the chain. In the drip lubrication, a drip lubricator continuously supplies the oil to a weak packed pipe. This pipe is provided with fine holes through which the oil comes out in the form of drops on the link plates. Now in this case, care should be taken to avoid wind circulation in the vicinity of the oil, otherwise the oil drops will be carried away in the wrong direction due to the wind. Figure 19 shows the drip lubrication where oil is dripping through a pipe having the hole over the chain surface. Now second, type B, which is bath or disc lubrication. In bath lubrication, the lower side of the chain is made to pass through a sump containing the lubricating oil. So in this figure we can clearly see the yellow is nothing but the oil. So oil level and the chain, lower side of the chain is passing through the sump of this lubricating oil. It is required to maintain the oil level up to the pitch line of the chain, so that the lower part of the chain is completely dipped into the oil continuously. In a disc lubrication, the entire chain is kept above the level of the lubricating oil in the sump. So here in figure 21 we can see, instead of now chain, the lower part of the disc is kept in the sump. There is a disc which is attached to one of the shafts and which picks up the oil from the sump and deposits it onto the chain by means of a trough. So here in 21 it clearly shows the lower part of the disc is dipped into the oil and that oil is carried by the chain. Now next, type C, oil stream lubrication. In this method there is a separate oil pump which supplies a continuous stream of lubricating oil to the chain. So in this figure we can see there is an oil pump which pumps the oil and which throws the oil continuously on the chain through this site of flow we can see in the figure. The oil is applied on the inside of the chain loop. It is directed at the slack side of the chain.
Now we will conclude the lecture. In this lecture we have studied chain drive, its advantages, disadvantages and applications of the chain drive. Then we have seen the geometry of the chain. Then we have studied the polygonal effect in the chain. Then we have seen the selection procedure of the chain drive from the manufacturer's catalog. Then we studied one numerical based on the selection of the chain drive. Then we have seen the different types of failures which occur in the chain drive. And finally, we have studied the different lubrication methods for the chain drive. Thank you for your attention.